Imagine standing in the eye of a storm, calm and collected, while chaos swirls around you. This is the essence of our first attribute, strategic silence. It's not about being quiet for the sake of it, but about understanding the power of a well-placed pause. Think about a heated debate or a crucial negotiation. When everyone's voices rise, what happens when someone chooses not to speak? Suddenly, all eyes turn to them. Their silence becomes magnetic, drawing attention and curiosity. This, my friends, is strategic silence in action. But why is this so powerful? Well, in the words of the great Stoic philosopher Epictetus, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. When we choose silence, we're not just avoiding words, but creating space. Space for observation, understanding, and making decisions not based on impulse, but on wisdom. Picture this: you're in a meeting and you're listening, and someone throws a challenging question your way. Instead of scrambling for an immediate response, you take a moment, you breathe. In that pause, you're not just buying time, but demonstrating control. You're showing that you value thoughtful responses over quick reactions. This strategic silence isn't about being passive. Far from it. It's an active choice, a powerful tool in your Stoic arsenal. It's about understanding that every word carries weight. And sometimes the most impactful thing you can say is nothing at all. But how do we cultivate this attribute? Start small. Next time you're in a conversation, challenge yourself to wait 5 seconds before responding. Feel the urge to fill the silence and then let it be. Watch how this small change shifts the dynamic and how it gives you time to formulate more thoughtful responses. Remember, in a world that's constantly buzzing, your strategic silence can be a superpower. It commands respect, invites curiosity, and most importantly, gives you the space to approach life with a calm, considered wisdom. Of a true Stoic, as Marcus Aurelius wisely said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your strategic silence is a testament to this inner strength, a sign that you're in control, not of others, but of yourself. So are you ready to harness the power of strategic silence to stand strong and calm in the face of life's storms? This is just the beginning of our journey into the attributes of those who speak less. Stay with us as we explore more Stoic wisdom that can transform your life one mindful moment at a time. Now that we've mastered the art of strategic silence, let's dive into our second attribute, active listening. This isn't just about hearing words. It's about truly understanding the message behind them. In a world where everyone's fighting to be heard, those who speak less have discovered a profound truth. The real power lies in listening. Think about it. When was the last time you felt honestly heard, not just nodded at, but deeply understood? That's the gift that active listeners bring to every conversation. And let me tell you, it's a rare and valuable skill. The great Stoic philosopher Zeno once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen more than we say." But why is this so important? Well, when we truly listen, we're not just gathering information. We're building connections, fostering empathy, and gaining insights that can change our perspective. Imagine you're in a heated argument. Your instinct might be to interrupt, to defend your point of view. But what if instead you chose to listen, to set aside your ego and try to understand where the other person is coming from? This is active listening in action, and it's a game changer. Here's a challenge for you. In your next conversation, focus entirely on the other person. Don't think about what you're going to say next. Don't judge or evaluate their words. Just listen. Notice their tone, their body language, and the emotions behind their words. You might be surprised at what you discover, but active listening isn't just about others. It's also about listening to yourself. You can hear your thoughts more clearly when you're not rushing to speak in the quiet moments. You can tune into your intuition, your values, and your true desires. As Marcus Aurelius put it, look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if thou wilt ever dig. Now you might be thinking, this sounds great, but how do I actually do it? Here are a few practical tips. 1. Make eye contact. It shows you're engaged and present. 2. Ask questions not to challenge, but to understand more deeply. 3. Paraphrase what you've heard. It ensures you've understood correctly and shows you're paying attention. 4. Practice patience. Don't rush to fill silences or jump to conclusions. Remember, active listening isn't about being passive. It's a deliberate choice, a powerful way to engage with the world around you. It's about quality over quantity, depth over superficiality. As you nurture this attribute, you'll witness something remarkable. People will be drawn to you. They'll trust you more, open up to you, and value your presence. Why? Because in a world where everyone's clamoring to be heard, you're offering something rare and precious: the gift of genuine attention. When we look at people who talk less, we find an important quality: being calm on the inside. In a world full of noise and confusion, those who have this quality are like lighthouses, steady, strong, and guiding others to safety. But what exactly is inner calm? It's not about being emotionless or detached. Instead, it's about finding a center of peace within yourself. A quiet strength that remains steady no matter what life throws your way. It's about responding to life's challenges with composure rather than reacting with impulsiveness. The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This, my friends, is the essence of inner calm. It's about understanding that while we can't control external events, we have absolute power over our responses to them. Picture this: you're stuck in heavy traffic, late for an important meeting. You might have honked the horn, cursed under your breath, and let stress and anger take over. But with inner calm, you take a deep breath. You remind yourself that getting upset won't make the traffic move faster. Instead, you use this time to prepare for your meeting or practice mental mindfulness. This inner calm isn't just about dealing with minor annoyances. It's a superpower that can help you gracefully navigate life's biggest challenges and dignity. When you speak less and cultivate this inner peace, you become like a rock in a rushing river. The water life's troubles may flow around you, but you remain steadfast and unmoved. So how do we develop this attribute? Here are a few Stoic-inspired practices. 1. Practice negative visualization. Regularly imagine losing the things you value. This helps you appreciate what you have and prepares you for potential setbacks. 2. Focus on what you can control. Divide situations into things you can influence and things you can't. Direct your energy only towards what you can change. 3. Embrace discomfort. Voluntarily put yourself in challenging situations. This builds resilience and helps you maintain calm when real difficulties arise. 4. Reflect daily. Take time each day to review your actions. Were there moments when you lost your calm? How could you respond differently next time? Cultivating inner calm doesn't mean you'll never feel negative emotions. It means you'll be able to acknowledge these feelings without being controlled. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Developing this attribute will bring about a remarkable shift. Not only will you feel more at peace, but you will also influence those around you. Your calm presence will be a soothing influence in tense situations and a form of silent leadership that others naturally gravitate towards. As we explore our fourth attribute, we will reveal a quality that genuinely distinguishes those who speak less: the ability to take thoughtful action. In a world that often rewards quick reactions and instant gratification, these individuals stand out by pausing, thinking, and acting purposefully. Think about it. How often have you said something in the heat of the moment only to regret it later? Or made a hasty decision that you wished you could take back? This is where the power of thoughtful action comes into play. It's about bridging the gap between impulse and action with careful consideration. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This, my friends, is thoughtful action in a nutshell. It's about aligning your actions with your values, goals, and authentic self. Imagine facing a major life decision, a career change, or a significant relationship choice. Instead of rushing into it or endlessly overthinking, those who speak less take a different approach. They create space for reflection. They consider not just the immediate consequences, but the long-term impact. They align their choice with their core values and life goals. But thoughtful action isn't just for big decisions. It's a way of life, a habit that can transform even the most minor interactions. When you speak less and act thoughtfully, your words and actions carry more weight. People learn it's meaningful and worth paying attention to when you say or act. So how can we cultivate this trait in our own lives? Here are some Stoic-inspired strategies. 1. Practice the pause. Before reacting to any situation, take a deep breath. Create a moment of space between stimulus and response. 2. Ask yourself why. Before taking action, question your motivations. Are you acting out of habit, emotion, or true intention? 3. Consider consequences. Think about the potential outcomes of your actions, both short-term and long-term. 4. Align with values. Regularly reflect on your core values and ensure your actions harmonize. 5. Embrace amor fati. Love your fate. Whatever the outcome of your thoughtful action, accept it and learn from it. Remember, thinking carefully and taking action doesn't mean doing nothing. It's not about getting stuck by overthinking. As Seneca said, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Thinking carefully helps you be ready to confidently and purposefully take advantage of the right moments. As you develop this attribute, you will likely notice some profound changes. Your relationships may deepen as people appreciate your considered responses. Your decisions may lead to better outcomes as they align with your true intentions. And most importantly, you'll feel a greater sense of control and purpose in your life. Unshakable self-confidence. Now you might be wondering, how can speaking less lead to more confidence? Well, buckle up, because we're about to explore one of the most powerful secrets of Stoic wisdom. First, let's clear up a common misconception. True self-confidence isn't about being loud or dominating conversations. It's not about proving yourself to others. Instead, it's about deep, unwavering trust in your worth and abilities, regardless of external validation. The great Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This, my friends, is the cornerstone of unshakable self-confidence. Think about it. When you speak less, you no longer seek constant approval or validation from others. You're not filling every silence with words to prove your worth. Instead, you're comfortable in your own skin and secure in your own thoughts. This is true confidence, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself, but is felt by everyone around you. Imagine walking into a room full of people. The old you might have felt the need to speak up immediately to make your presence known. But with this new unshakable self-confidence, you're content to observe, listen, and choose your moments carefully. And when you do speak, your words carry weight because they come from a place of inner strength, not insecurity. So how do we cultivate this attribute? Here are some Stoic-inspired practices. 1. Focus on what you can control. Your actions, your thoughts, your responses. Let go of trying to control others' opinions of you. 2. Practice self-acceptance. Acknowledge your strengths and weaknesses without judgment. Remember, self-confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about being comfortable with who you are. 3. Set and achieve small goals. Build confidence through consistent action and achievement. 4. Embrace failure as a teacher. Don't let setbacks shake your confidence. Instead, view them as opportunities for growth. 5. Cultivate inner dialogue. Speak to yourself with kindness and encouragement. Your inner voice shapes your outer confidence. Remember, building unshakable self-confidence is a journey, not a destination. As Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. You're taking the first steps towards true self-mastery by speaking less and turning your focus inward. As you develop this attribute, you might notice some fascinating changes. People may start to gravitate towards you, drawn by your quiet confidence. You might find yourself more resilient in the face of criticism or setbacks, and most importantly, you'll discover a sense of inner peace that comes from knowing your worth doesn't depend on others' opinions. In our hyper-connected world, we often confuse quantity with quality. When it comes to relationships, we count our friends in numbers, our connections in networks. But those who speak less have discovered a profound truth. It's not about how many connections you have, but how deep and meaningful those connections are. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "Everywhere means nowhere." In the context of relationships, this reminds us that spreading ourselves too thin can prevent us from forming significant bonds. We create space for deeper, more authentic connections when we speak less. Imagine you're at a social gathering. The old flitted from conversation to conversation, making small talk and collecting business cards. But with this new approach, you might engage in fewer conversations, but each one is more meaningful. You listen intently, ask thoughtful questions, and share authentically. The result? Fewer superficial acquaintances, but more genuine friendships. So how do we master this art of meaningful connections? Here are some Stoic-inspired strategies. 1. Quality over quantity. Focus on nurturing a few deep relationships rather than maintaining many shallow ones. 2. Practice active listening. When someone speaks, give them your full attention. Listen to understand, not just to respond. 3. Be authentic. Share your genuine thoughts and feelings. Vulnerability breeds connection. 4. Value actions over words. Show your care through deeds, not just expressions. 5. Be patient. Embrace solitude. Spend time alone to recharge and reflect. This makes your interactions more intentional and meaningful. Remember, meaningful connections are about something other than being constantly available or always having something to say. As you acquire this attribute, you may notice significant changes. Your relationships could become more profound and more rewarding. You might find yourself surrounded by people who really get you and value you. And most importantly, you'll feel like you belong. Not because you're everywhere, but because you're fully present wherever you are. As we look into our 7th attribute, we're about to uncover a quality that truly sets apart those who speak less and an unwavering sense of purpose. In a world of distractions and fleeting trends, these individuals stand out by staying true to their core values and life mission. You might wonder, how does speaking less relate to having a strong sense of purpose? Well, my friends, it's all about clarity. When we reduce the noise in our lives, both external and internal, we create space to hear our inner voice and connect with our deepest aspirations. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have to assemble your life yourself, action by action." This powerful statement reminds us that a sense of purpose isn't something we stumble upon, but something we consciously build, decision by decision, moment by moment. Imagine waking up each day with a crystal clear understanding of what truly matters to you. Not what society says should matter, not what your social media feed suggests is important, but what resonates deeply with your core values. This is the power of an unwavering sense of purpose. When you speak less and listen more to yourself, to the wisdom of others, to the whispers of the universe, you begin to align your actions with your true purpose. You become less swayed by fleeting emotions or external pressures. Instead, you move through life with intention and direction. So how can we cultivate this unwavering sense of purpose? Here are some Stoic-inspired practices. 1. Define your values. Regularly reflect on what truly matters. What principles do you want to live by? 2. Set meaningful goals. Ensure your goals align with your values and contribute to your larger life. Purpose. 3. Practice daily reflection. Take time each day to consider whether your actions are aligned with your purpose. 4. Embrace obstacles as opportunities. View challenges not as setbacks, but as chances to reinforce your purpose. 5. Cultivate indifference to the non-essential. Learn to say no to things that don't serve your purpose. Remember, having a sense of purpose doesn't mean having your entire life figured out. As Seneca said, if one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable. Your purpose is your North Star, guiding you even when the path isn't clear. Learning to develop this quality can bring significant changes to your life. You may find it easier to make decisions that align with your main goal. When you face challenges, you may feel more satisfied. Most importantly, you will gain calm confidence by staying true to yourself. When discussing our 8th attribute, we focus on an important characteristic in our uncertain world: resilience. People who speak less have often learned how to bounce back and stay strong when facing tough times. Building this ability is incredibly valuable in a world that can feel like it's always throwing challenges at us. Now you might wonder, what does speaking less have to do with being resilient? Well, it's all about where you direct your energy when you're not constantly reacting, complaining, or seeking validation through words. You're conserving your strength for what truly matters, facing life's challenges head-on. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This, my friends, is life, is the essence of resilience. It's about developing the inner strength to weather any storm, to bend without breaking. Imagine facing a major setback. Maybe you've lost a job, ended a relationship, or faced a health crisis. The old you might have been overwhelmed, venting your frustrations to anyone who would listen. But with this newfound resilience, you approach the situation differently. You take a moment to pause, to reflect, to gather your inner resources, and then, with quiet determination, you start to rebuild. So how do we develop this incredible attribute? Here are some Stoic-inspired strategies to boost your resilience. 1. Practice negative visualization. Regularly imagine challenging scenarios. This mental preparation can make natural obstacles feel less daunting. 2. Focus on what you can control. Direct your energy towards things you can influence, rather than wasting it on factors beyond your control. 3. Embrace discomfort. Voluntarily put yourself in challenging situations. This builds your resilience muscles. Develop a growth mindset. View setbacks as opportunities for learning and growth, not failures. Cultivate emotional intelligence. Learn to recognize and manage your emotions rather than being controlled by them. Remember, resilience isn't about never falling down, it's about always getting back up. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When you work on this attribute, you will discover that some beautiful changes happen to you. Things that seemed out of reach seem relatively easy to accomplish now. You may take relatively less time to rebound from a loss or drowning phase, but above all else, you will find that self-assuredness that stems from the confidence that you can handle whatever the future holds for you. In our 9th attribute, we will explore a quality that distinguishes those who speak less: the development of deep wisdom. While many value quick answers and surface-level knowledge, these individuals stand out by gaining a profound understanding of life and its complexities. You might be thinking, how does speaking less lead to greater wisdom? Well, my friends, it's all about creating space for reflection and deep thought. We're not constantly filling the air with words. We open ourselves to observe, ponder, and genuinely understand. Seneca the elder said, "It is a great thing to know the season for speech and the season for silence." This simple yet profound statement reminds us that wisdom often comes from listening to others, the world around us, and our inner voice. Imagine being in a heated debate. The old you might have jumped in with quick rebuttals, eager to prove your point. But with this newfound approach, you take a moment to listen truly and consider different perspectives. You speak less, but when you do speak, your words carry the weight of careful consideration and deep understanding. So how do we cultivate this profound wisdom? Here are some Stoic-inspired practices. 1. Practice critical thinking. Don't accept ideas at face value. Question, analyze, and seek to understand more profound truths. 2. Commit to lifelong learning. Cultivate curiosity about the world around you. Never stop seeking knowledge. 3. Reflect regularly. Set aside time each day for quiet reflection. Process your experiences and extract lessons from them. 4. Pursue diverse perspectives. Engage with people and ideas different from yours. Wisdom often lies in understanding multiple viewpoints. 5. Apply knowledge practically. True wisdom isn't just about knowing things, but about living them. Apply what you learn to your daily life. Remember, wisdom isn't about having all the answers. As Socrates, a significant influence on Stoic thought, famously said, "I know that I know nothing." True wisdom often begins with acknowledging our limitations and remaining open to new understandings. Developing this quality can lead to significant changes. You may start making better decisions as you understand different situations more deeply. This may also lead to you becoming a trusted advisor to your friends and colleagues. Most importantly, you will find a sense of inner peace as you start seeing the world more clearly and navigating it more skillfully. Friends, welcome to our final attribute. Today, we're talking about the importance of effective communication. Speaking less often leads to better communication. Let's explore this concept further. In our constant chatter and information overload world, communicating with impact is more valuable than ever. But here's the twist. Impactful communication isn't about saying more. It's about saying what matters when it matters in a way that resonates deeply. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This reminds us that effective communication often means stepping back, listening more, and speaking only when we have something precious to contribute. Imagine you're in an important meeting while others are talking over each other, competing to be heard. You're observing, listening, and processing. When you speak, your words are thoughtful, precise, and impactful. People listen because they know you don't waste words. People listen because they know you use words wisely. This is the power of mastering impactful communication. So how do we cultivate this powerful trait? Here are some Stoic-inspired strategies. 1. Choose your words carefully before speaking. Ask yourself, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? 2. Practice concision. Learn to express complex ideas in simple, clear terms. Develop your presence. Communication isn't just about words. Your body language, tone, and energy all contribute to your message. Know your audience. Tailor your communication to the needs and understanding of those you're addressing. It's okay to pause. Don't fear pauses. They can add emphasis and give others time to absorb your words. Remember, impactful communication isn't about dominating conversations or having the last word. As Marcus Aurelius said, you always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control. By developing this quality, you may see some remarkable changes. Your words may have more influence in conversations. People may seek your opinion more often. Most importantly, you will feel that your inner thoughts and outward expression are more in line. Remember, speaking less doesn't mean being silent or withdrawn. It means being deliberate with your words and actions and developing inner strength and wisdom that shines outward. It's about prioritizing quality over quantity in all areas of life. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Stoic wisdom. These traits inspire you to speak less and live more authentically, purposefully, and impactfully. The Stoics teach us that true resilience comes from focusing on what we can control and accepting what we cannot. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This Stoic teaching is at the heart of resilience. While we cannot always control the circumstances we face, whether it's a personal failure, a health issue, or a difficult relationship, Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. We have complete control over how we respond. By choosing to view challenges as opportunities for growth rather than as insurmountable problems, we build the mental and emotional strength to face adversity with confidence. Building resilience means cultivating the ability to bounce back from difficulties. It's not about avoiding pain or discomfort, but learning to endure them with grace and clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This powerful Stoic principle teaches us that obstacles are not meant to be avoided, but embraced as part of our journey. Each challenge we face provides an opportunity to develop our resilience, grow stronger, and become more confident in our ability to handle future difficulties. Consider a common situation in which resilience is necessary: losing a job. For many, this experience can be overwhelming and lead to feelings of failure, self-doubt, and fear about the future. However, through the lens of Stoicism, losing a job can be seen not as a failure, but as an opportunity for growth and reinvention. The Stoics would advise us to focus on what we can control, our next steps, how we use our time and our mindset, rather than dwelling on the loss itself. By approaching the situation with resilience, we can turn what seems like a setback into a new beginning. Another key aspect of building resilience is accepting that life is unpredictable. The Stoics practiced premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils, which involves mentally preparing for worst-case scenarios. By considering what could go wrong, Stoics were better equipped to handle challenges with composure when they arose. This practice doesn't mean dwelling on negativity, but rather acknowledging that hardships are a natural part of life. When you mentally prepare for adversity, you're less likely to be caught off guard and more likely to respond with resilience when difficulties arise. Let's take the example of someone training for a marathon. They know that along the way they will face physical fatigue, injury, or moments of doubt. Instead of fearing these obstacles, they anticipate them and develop strategies to overcome them. Whether it's through physical conditioning, mental toughness, or learning to pace themselves. This is resilience in action. By preparing for challenges and accepting them as part of the process, they build the strength to push through when things get tough. The same principle applies to life. When we build resilience by accepting that setbacks are inevitable, we gain the confidence to face them head-on. Resilience is also about maintaining a positive mindset in the face of adversity. The Stoics believed that our perception of events shapes our experience of them. Seneca said, "A man is as miserable as he thinks he is." This highlights the power of our thoughts in shaping our reality. When we view challenges as insurmountable, we feel overwhelmed and defeated. But when we see them as opportunities for growth, we approach them with a sense of purpose and resilience. By choosing to maintain a positive outlook, even in difficult times, we build the mental toughness needed to overcome adversity. In addition to mental resilience, the Stoics emphasize the importance of emotional resilience. Life's challenges can trigger a range of emotions: anger, sadness, frustration, or fear. While it's natural to feel these emotions, the Stoics teach us not to let them control our actions. Epictetus advised, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." This means focusing on what you can do and accepting what you cannot change. Emotional resilience involves acknowledging your feelings, but not allowing them to dictate your response. By practicing emotional self-control, you build the resilience to face challenges with calm and clarity. Let's consider a real-life example of resilience. Think about someone who has faced a major setback, such as a serious illness or the loss of a loved one. While these experiences are incredibly painful, those who practice resilience are able to move forward by focusing on what they can control, whether it's taking care of their health, finding support from loved ones, or adjusting to their new reality. This doesn't mean ignoring the pain, but rather accepting it as part of life's journey and using it as fuel to become stronger and more resilient. In conclusion, building resilience is a fundamental Stoic lesson for boosting confidence. Life will inevitably bring challenges, but it's how we respond to those challenges that determines our strength and growth. By focusing on what we can control, accepting adversity as part of life, and maintaining a positive mindset, we can develop the resilience needed to face difficulties with confidence. The Stoics remind us that every obstacle is an opportunity for growth, and by embracing this mindset, we can build the inner strength to handle whatever life throws our way. Embracing this journey means being open to learning, adapting, and evolving as we gain more experiences. It's about recognizing that wisdom isn't static. It deepens and expands as we continue to engage with the world and reflect on our interactions. Moreover, embracing the long-term journey aligns with the Stoic practice of focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. This isn't about resignation, but about empowerment. It frees us from the unnecessary stress of trying to control the uncontrollable and allows us to invest our energy in actions and attitudes that truly enrich our lives and the lives of those around us. In practical terms, this might mean choosing to invest time in relationships that are nurturing and supportive, pursuing careers that align with our values, or dedicating ourselves to causes that we believe in. Each choice is a brick in the foundation of a life well lived, a life that reflects our deepest convictions and highest aspirations. Thank you all for joining me today in exploring these Stoic principles. Remember, the journey is long, but each step is a chance to reinforce who we are and what we stand for. By adopting a Stoic mindset, we learn not only to withstand the trials of life, but to approach them in a way that enhances our understanding of ourselves and our capabilities. Habit 3. The power of choice. Now that we understand that our emotions stem from our judgments and not the events themselves, let's delve into the profound Stoic principle of choice. This isn't about choosing what happens to us, that's often beyond our control, but choosing our response. And believe it or not, in that choice lies our freedom and power. The Stoics teach us that between the stimulus and the response there is a space. In this space lies our power to choose our response. This idea is incredibly empowering. It means that no matter what life throws at us, we have the last say on how we respond. Whether it's a rude comment, a financial setback, or a personal loss, our emotional response is ours to choose. Think about it this way. Life is like a complex dance. Events come at us in quick succession, and our emotions can react just as quickly. But like a skilled dancer who decides which steps to take on the dance floor, we can choose how to move with, around, or away from our emotional impulses. This doesn't mean ignoring our feelings. Rather, it's about acknowledging them and deciding the best course of action that aligns with our values and long-term goals. This power of choice is what enabled Stoic philosophers like Seneca to remain tranquil in times of extreme stress. Seneca suggested that we should rehearse worst-case scenarios in our minds, not to dwell on them, but to diminish the intensity of our reactions when faced with actual challenges. By doing so, we become less reactive and more responsive. Moreover, embracing this Stoic approach helps us build resilience. Resilience doesn't come from avoiding challenges, but from facing them with clarity and determination. Every time we choose a response that keeps us aligned with our goals, we strengthen our ability to handle future challenges more effectively. Habit 4. Techniques for action over emotion. As we delve deeper into the Stoic practice, it becomes clear that knowing you have a choice isn't enough. You need effective strategies to exercise that choice wisely. Here are some time-tested techniques drawn from Stoic wisdom that can help you choose your actions over your emotions, turning potential turmoil into triumph. One pivotal technique involves the simple yet powerful act of pausing when an emotion flares up. Imagine you're in a heated discussion. Instead of immediately reacting, give yourself a moment. This pause is a buffer, giving your rational mind time to wake up and process the situation. During this brief interlude, you can assess the emotion. Is it anger, frustration, fear? Acknowledging what you feel can diminish its overwhelming power, allowing you to respond rather than react. Another Stoic strategy is to reframe your thoughts about the situation. This cognitive reframing involves shifting your perspective to see the event differently. If someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of getting angry and assuming malicious intent, you might consider other explanations. Perhaps they are rushing to an emergency. Changing your narrative about the event can change your emotional response to it, helping you maintain your composure and perhaps even empathize with the other person. Values-based decision-making is another cornerstone of Stoic practice. Here you make decisions based on your core values, not fleeting emotions. Ask yourself, does reacting with anger align with my values? What would the best version of myself do in this situation? By aligning your actions with your values, you ensure that your responses contribute to the person you aspire to be, rather than a momentary emotional state. Emotional acceptance is crucial too. This doesn't mean resigning yourself to feeling bad. It means accepting that you're feeling a certain way without judgment or immediate reaction. Acceptance allows you to understand your emotions better and manage them proactively. It's like observing the clouds as they pass by in the sky. Notice them, but don't get carried away by the storm. Each of these techniques isn't just about handling a particular emotional moment. They are about cultivating a life where you consistently choose actions that reflect your rational and reasoned decisions. Practicing these techniques regularly can turn them into habits, fundamentally changing how you interact with your emotions and the world. As you integrate these practices into your daily life, you'll find that not only do your emotional responses become more balanced, but your overall sense of well-being improves, allowing you to live more fully in alignment with your Stoic principles. Habit 5. Benefits of choosing actions over emotions. When we choose our actions consciously, aligning them with rational thought rather than fleeting emotions, we cultivate an inner stability that is apparent to those around us. This stability makes us more reliable and trustworthy. In personal relationships, this can deepen bonds as loved ones see us as pillars of strength, capable of supporting them emotionally rather than reacting impulsively to stressful situations. It means that in times of conflict or tension, instead of escalating the situation with emotional reactions, we contribute to resolving it, enhancing the quality and depth of our connections. Professionally, the ability to stay calm and collected under pressure is invaluable. In the workplace, emotions can run high, but the capacity to maintain composure sets leaders apart. Obstacles are not to be avoided, they are to be used as fuel. When you find your purpose and align it with your actions, you become unstoppable. Finding your inner drive starts with understanding why you do what you do. What is your deeper purpose? What is the greater vision that drives you beyond the daily tasks and hurdles? When you connect with this purpose, you don't need to wait for motivation to strike. You can rely on your discipline and determination to keep you moving forward. Take a moment to think about your goals. What are you working toward, and why does it matter to you? When you find that core reason, that deep motivation, you'll find that even on the tough days, you'll have the strength to keep going. You'll be able to tap into your inner drive and push through the challenges that come your way. One of the biggest obstacles to staying motivated is the feeling of being overwhelmed. When you focus only on the big picture and the end result, it can be easy to get discouraged. But here's a simple trick. Break it down. Focus on small, actionable steps. When you take one step at a time, the bigger goal doesn't seem so daunting. Each small win will keep you moving forward, and each step will bring you closer to your purpose. In moments of doubt, ask yourself, why did I start this? Reconnect with your purpose and let that inner drive propel you forward. Motivation will come and go, but purpose and discipline will keep you on track no matter what. So the next time you feel your motivation slipping, remember that it's not about waiting for that burst of inspiration. It's about pushing through anyway, focusing on your discipline and staying connected to your deeper purpose. Your inner drive is the key to achieving anything you set your mind to. Trust in that and let it guide you. 3. Break the fear barrier. Fear, it's something we all experience at some point in our lives. It can feel paralyzing, overwhelming, and all-consuming. Whether it's the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, or the fear of the unknown, it has a way of holding us back from reaching our true potential. 3. We avoid taking risks, shy away from challenges, and tell ourselves that we're not ready yet. But here's the thing, fear is the barrier between where you are now and where you want to be. The Stoics were well aware of the power of fear. They didn't ignore it. They faced it head-on, using it as fuel for growth. Seneca, a prominent Stoic philosopher, once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Fear often stems from our imagination, what we think could happen, what we imagine others might say, or how we picture failure. But in reality, fear is often much worse in our minds than it is in reality. It's a mental construct that holds us back from taking action, from stepping into the unknown and discovering our true capabilities. So how do we overcome fear? The answer isn't to eliminate it completely. That's impossible. Fear will always be there, lurking in the background. The key is learning how to face it, how to use it as a tool for growth rather than letting it control you. The Stoics believed in embracing adversity. They saw challenges as opportunities to build resilience and strength. In fact, they believed that the more we face our fears and overcome them, the stronger we become. The first step to breaking through the fear barrier is to acknowledge the fear. Don't try to push it away or pretend it doesn't exist. Fear is natural and it's part of the human experience. When you feel fear, stop and ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Is it failure, rejection, the unknown? By identifying the source of your fear, you take away some of its power. You can start to see that it's not as intimidating as it seems. Once you've identified your fear, shift your perspective. Instead of seeing fear as a roadblock, start to view it as a signal. A signal that you're on the verge of growth, that you're pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone. The things that scare us are often the very things that will lead to our greatest breakthroughs. By leaning into fear rather than avoiding it, you start to break down the barriers that are holding you back. Another key to overcoming fear is taking small, intentional actions. Fear thrives when we stay stagnant, when we don't take any action at all. But when we move forward, even in small steps, we start to gain confidence and diminish the power that fear holds over us. The Stoics taught us that our actions are in our control, even if the outcome is uncertain. Each step you take, no matter how small, is a victory over the fear that's trying to hold you back. Think about the first time you did something that scared you. Maybe it was speaking in front of a crowd, starting a new project, or facing a difficult conversation. In the beginning, the fear felt overwhelming. But once you took that first step, the fear began to fade. You realized that the thing you feared wasn't as powerful as you had imagined. This is the power of action. Once you begin, fear loses its grip. Remember, fear is not your enemy, it's your teacher. It shows you where you need to grow, where you need to push yourself. Don't let it control your life. Face it, embrace it, and use it as fuel to propel you toward your goals. So the next time fear arises, don't shrink away from it. Step into it. Take that first step, even if it's small, and know that with each step you take, you're not just moving toward your goal, you're becoming the person you're meant to be. The person who doesn't let fear dictate their life. 4. Set clear, actionable goals. Have you ever set a big goal, full of excitement and energy, only to find that months later, you're still in the same place, feeling frustrated and stuck? We've all been there. The idea of achieving something great can be thrilling, but without clear, actionable goals, that excitement quickly fades into confusion and overwhelm. It's easy to get lost in the idea of success without knowing exactly how to get there. The problem is that without a clear plan, success remains a distant dream, not a tangible reality. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They didn't just set lofty ideals, they focused on what they could control and broke their larger goals down into smaller, actionable steps. They believed that without clear goals, we would drift aimlessly, constantly chasing after things that didn't align with our true purpose. The first step in achieving anything is to define exactly what you want. Be specific about your goals. Vague goals like "I want to be successful" or "I want to be healthier" are not enough. To make progress, you need to get detailed. What does success look like for you? What specific health goals do you want to achieve? The more specific your goals are, the clearer your path becomes. But setting goals isn't just about being specific. You need to make sure your goals are also actionable. It's not enough to write down a dream. You need to break it down into steps you can take on a daily or weekly basis. This is where many people fail. They set a big goal, but they don't map out the small necessary actions required to get there. The Stoics believed in focusing on the process, not the outcome. They knew that success is built on small, consistent actions, not on hoping for big, dramatic changes overnight. Let's take an example. Imagine your goal is to write a book. That's a huge, daunting task, and it's easy to get overwhelmed by the enormity of it. But if you break it down, it suddenly becomes more manageable. Start by setting small, achievable milestones. Write 500 words a day or finish one chapter per week. The key is to set goals that are within your control and to make them as actionable as possible. If you focus only on the end result, it will seem too distant to achieve. But when you focus on the smaller steps, each one becomes a win and momentum starts to build. In the Stoic tradition, this process is called virtue. Virtue isn't just about achieving a goal, it's about taking the right actions regardless of the outcome. This isn't about suppressing emotions, but rather managing responses in a way that is considered and constructive. Decisions made in this state are typically more strategic and thoughtful, leading to better outcomes and demonstrating a level of leadership that is respected and often emulated. Furthermore, choosing actions over emotions leads to personal resilience and mental toughness. The Stoics believed that our greatest trials are opportunities for growth. By facing challenges with a calm and composed demeanor, we train ourselves to handle future stresses with greater ease. This resilience can dramatically improve our overall well-being, reducing feelings of anxiety and depression, and increasing our life satisfaction. Essentially, we're not just reacting to life's challenges, we're actively shaping our journey through them. Another significant benefit is the development of self-awareness and self-regulation. These skills allow us to understand our emotional triggers and effectively manage them. This awareness then extends beyond ourselves, improving our empathy and understanding of others' emotions. With this enhanced perception, we can navigate social interactions more skillfully, adapting our responses to suit different situations and personalities. The practice of choosing actions over emotions equips us with tools not just to survive in our world, but to thrive. By embodying the principles of Stoicism, we don't just go through life. We grow through life, continually improving ourselves and positively impacting those around us. Habit 6. Overcoming challenges. Mastering your emotions and consistently choosing rational actions over impulsive reactions is no small feat. It's a profound challenge that requires dedication, patience, and resilience. In this journey, as Stoicism teaches us, we encounter numerous obstacles that test our resolve and our ability to apply philosophical principles to real-life situations. One of the first challenges many of us face is the intensity and immediacy of our emotional reactions. Emotions are powerful and can overwhelm even the most dedicated practitioners of Stoicism. They can surge quickly and unexpectedly, driven by deep-seated habits and instincts that have been reinforced over a lifetime. The key to overcoming this challenge isn't to suppress these emotions, but to acknowledge their presence without allowing them to dictate our actions. This requires a high level of self-awareness and the ability to pause and reflect in the heat of the moment, a skill that is cultivated through consistent practice and mindfulness. You'll be surprised by how much strength and clarity you can find in that quiet space. Recognize your own worth through silence. In the face of rejection, it's easy to start doubting ourselves. We might think, if they don't want me, there must be something wrong with me. Our self-worth can get tangled up in how others perceive us or how we are treated. But here's the hard truth. Your worth is not defined by someone else's opinion of you, and silence is a powerful tool to remind yourself of that. When you stay silent after rejection, you create space to reconnect with your own value, independent of external judgment. Mori. All gets a chance to step back, reflect, and remember that your worth doesn't come from approval or validation. It comes from within. Think about how often we tie our self-worth to external factors. How many times have you felt less than because of a rejection? Maybe it was a job offer that didn't come through, a relationship that didn't work out, or an idea that was shot down. These moments can feel like a personal attack, But the truth is, they don't define you. They only define that one moment or situation. By choosing silence, you give yourself the opportunity to detach from the emotional reaction to rejection. Instead of letting it consume you, you take a step back and ask, why, what is my true value apart from this moment? In those quiet moments, you can reconnect with your strengths, your achievements, and your unique qualities. This practice of recognizing your worth through silence is rooted in Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that external circumstances, including rejection, should not dictate how we feel about ourselves. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In other words, rejection is a part of life, but your reaction to it is what shapes your sense of self. By staying silent after rejection, you give yourself the time to reflect and remind yourself that your worth is constant, regardless of what happens externally. You don't need others' approval to know who you are or to acknowledge your value. Rejection is just a moment in time. It doesn't define your worth. This doesn't mean you ignore the feedback or the lesson that might come with rejection. Instead, it means you take the time to process the situation without the weight of self-doubt. You separate your identity from the rejection itself and focus on the bigger picture of who you are and what you're capable of. So when rejection comes, instead of reacting in frustration or self-criticism, embrace the silence. Use it as an opportunity to reflect on your true worth. By taking this moment of stillness, you remind yourself that no one's opinion or action can ever diminish your value. Your worth is not tied to the outcome of a single event, and by recognizing this truth, you free yourself from the emotional turmoil that rejection often brings. Silence gives you the space to reconnect with your inner strength and reassert your self-worth, regardless of external circumstances. 3. Let your absence speak louder than words. When faced with rejection, we often feel the urge to explain ourselves, to defend our actions, or to prove our worth. We feel as though words are necessary to mend the situation, to clarify misunderstandings, or to change the other person's perception of us. But sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. In fact, your silence can speak volumes louder than any words ever could. Think about it: when you stay silent after being rejected, you're letting your absence make the statement for you. There's a subtle power in walking away, in not scrambling for validation or attempting to explain yourself. By remaining silent, you let the other person feel the weight of your absence, and in doing so, you allow them to reflect on the impact of their actions. You don't need to justify yourself or engage in an endless back and forth. Your presence, or lack thereof, is enough of a response. This silence doesn't mean you're weak or passive. It's a deliberate, powerful choice. When you choose to stay silent, you're asserting your own boundaries, demonstrating that you won't beg for approval, that you won't chase after someone who doesn't see your value. Your absence becomes a reflection of your self-respect and your decision to protect your energy. In Stoic philosophy, the idea of letting action speak louder than words is central. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote about the importance of focusing on one's own behavior and not seeking validation from others. He said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, instead of retaliating or seeking justification, the best response is to remain true to your own principles and let your actions, and sometimes your silence, speak for you. When you remain silent, you take the power back from the situation. Instead of getting lost in a debate or a defensive posture, you choose to walk away with dignity. You don't need to explain, apologize, or make excuses for being yourself. You simply let the absence of your words reflect the fact that you recognize your own worth and will not lower yourself to beg for acceptance. This also creates space for the other person to process the situation. Rejection often causes discomfort for both parties involved. By not engaging in a prolonged conversation, you allow the other person to reflect on their actions without the noise of justification. Your silence can make them realize the weight of their decision without you needing to say a single word. It's a powerful form of self-respect. It shows that you are willing to walk away, to let go, rather than hold on to something that doesn't serve you. Your absence in this case is not a defeat. It is an assertion of your own self-worth. You are telling the world that you do not need to prove yourself or chase after approval. So next time you face rejection, consider how silence can be your ally. Let your absence be a powerful response that conveys strength, dignity, and self-respect. You don't always need words to express your value. Sometimes simply walking away, letting go, and allowing your silence to fill the space is the loudest message you can send. 4. Silence as a refuge for inner peace. In a world that's always moving, always demanding, silence can often feel like a luxury we can't afford. From the moment we wake up, we are bombarded with noise, emails, messages, phone calls, notifications. Even in the moments when we're not actively engaging with others, the mind races with thoughts, worries, and endless lists of things to do. This constant mental chatter can easily lead to stress, anxiety, and a sense of being overwhelmed. But here's the thing, silence doesn't just mean the absence of sound, it's the presence of inner peace. When you embrace silence, you create a safe haven, a space where you can reconnect with yourself, reset your mind, and protect your emotional well-being. Epictetus, one of the leading Stoics, taught that we must be mindful of what we allow to disturb our peace. He said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Similarly, inner peace doesn't come from external circumstances. It comes from reducing the noise and distractions around us and creating space to focus on what truly matters. When you choose silence after rejection, you create an emotional boundary that protects your peace. Instead of reacting impulsively, whether by arguing, defending yourself, or seeking validation, you give yourself the opportunity to process the rejection quietly. You don't let the outside world dictate your emotional state. You maintain control over your reactions, choosing to protect your mental clarity and emotional well-being. This doesn't mean ignoring your emotions. Silence isn't about bottling up what you feel. It's about allowing yourself the time and space to feel those emotions without being ruled by them. By embracing silence, you give yourself permission to sit with your feelings, reflect on them, and process them in a healthy, productive way. It's in this stillness that we find the strength to understand ourselves better and make decisions based on our values. Rather than on fleeting emotions in practical terms, this could look like taking a moment in the morning to sit in stillness before starting your day. You could meditate, focus on your breathing, or simply reflect on your thoughts in a quiet space. This simple act of embracing silence helps you recalibrate, restore your energy, and start your day from a place of inner peace, not chaos. After rejection, the peace that comes from silence allows you to view the situation more clearly. Instead of letting anger, shame, or frustration control you, you create the space to regain your composure. Silence becomes a tool for emotional regulation, giving you the strength to decide how you'll respond, whether you'll choose to engage or simply let go. By making silence a refuge, you protect yourself from unnecessary stress and cultivate a deep inner peace that can guide you through any challenge, rejection, or difficulty you face. It's the quiet space that allows you to be in control of your emotional responses and stay aligned with your true values. So when rejection strikes, remember the power of silence as a refuge. Take that moment to step back, regain your inner peace, and center yourself. In this space, you'll find the clarity and strength to move forward with dignity and confidence. 5. Use silence to reflect and grow. When rejection comes your way, it's easy to get lost in the rush of emotions that follow. Disappointment, frustration, sadness, these are all natural responses. But in those moments, silence becomes a powerful tool for reflection and growth. 5. Instead of reacting or allowing those negative emotions to take over, silence offers you the space to step back, gather your thoughts, and understand the situation from a more objective perspective. Think about the times you've been rejected. How many of those moments were followed by emotional reactions, impulsive decisions, or over-explaining yourself? The truth is, when we react impulsively, we often miss out on the opportunity to learn, grow, and become better from the experience. By embracing silence, you give yourself the gift of reflection, allowing you to process the rejection and understand what you can take from it. The Stoics, particularly Seneca, emphasized the importance of reflection in the face of adversity. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This highlights the power of how we view our experiences. When we're caught up in the heat of the moment, rejection feels like a devastating blow. But through silence and reflection, we gain the perspective needed to see the situation clearly and identify the lessons we can learn. Instead of getting lost in self-pity or anger, use silence as an opportunity to reflect on the rejection. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What can I improve? What is the real reason for this rejection, and how can I grow from it? This kind of self-reflection helps you gain clarity, build resilience, and make better decisions in the future. It also allows you to view the rejection not as a failure, but as a stepping stone toward your personal growth. Silence also creates the mental space to look inward and evaluate your own actions and mindset. Sometimes rejection reveals areas of ourselves that need improvement, whether it's in our communication, our work ethic, or how we approach challenges. When we're caught up in a cycle of reacting and defending ourselves, we often miss the opportunity to evaluate and grow. Silence gives us the opportunity to pause, process, and come out stronger. This kind of reflection isn't just about identifying where we went wrong. It's also about recognizing our strengths, our resilience, and the things that we're doing right. It's easy to focus on the negative aspects of rejection, but reflection allows you to also recognize the positive progress you've made. You're learning, adapting, and moving forward, even in the face of rejection. So the next time you face rejection, remember the power of silence. Instead of reacting immediately, take a moment to reflect. Use the time to learn from the experience, evaluate what you can do better, and recognize how this rejection can ultimately make you stronger and more focused. With each moment of silence, you give yourself the opportunity to grow, not just from the rejection, but in every aspect of your life. 6. Silence as a teacher of self-control. Rejection can trigger a flood of emotions. Anger, frustration, self-doubt, these are all normal reactions when we feel hurt or overlooked. It's tempting in those moments to lash out, to defend ourselves, or to try and explain our worth. But what if the key to mastering rejection and life's challenges is not in reacting, but in exercising self-control through silence? Silence in this context is a powerful teacher of self-control. When you choose to remain silent in the face of rejection, you are not ignoring your feelings. You are choosing to control your reaction. Instead of letting your emotions dictate your response, you consciously decide to hold back, to pause, and to reflect before acting. This is the essence of emotional discipline. The Stoics believed that one of the greatest forms of strength is self-discipline, was the ability to control our emotions, especially in moments of adversity. Seneca, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." In other words, our emotional responses, our knee-jerk reactions, are often more damaging than the event itself. Our minds can amplify rejection, turning it into something far worse than it actually is. But silence provides us with the space to break that cycle, to step away from immediate reactions, and to regain control of our emotions. Think about how often we regret speaking or acting in the heat of the moment. How many times have we let a harsh word, an angry outburst, or a defensive remark cost us in the long run? Rejection can feel personal, but the way we choose to respond defines who we are and how we grow. By embracing silence, we practice self-control, and in doing so, we preserve our dignity and avoid unnecessary conflict. When you stay silent after rejection, you are demonstrating to yourself that you can remain calm and composed even when life doesn't go your way. You're learning to take a step back, assess the situation with clarity, and respond thoughtfully, not impulsively. Silence helps you avoid making decisions you might regret later, giving you the opportunity to think through your emotions and actions before taking the next step. This practice of self-control isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about mastering them. Silence teaches us that we don't need to react right away. We don't need to rush to defend ourselves or prove our worth. The space between rejection and our response is where growth happens. When we allow ourselves time to process, to reflect, and to calm our minds, we gain the self-control needed to respond with wisdom and dignity. So next time you face rejection, remember that silence isn't a passive choice, it's an active practice of self-control. It's the moment you decide not to let your emotions control you, but instead to choose how to respond thoughtfully and with strength. By mastering this skill, you're not only handling rejection better, but you're also building emotional resilience that will serve you in all areas of life. 7. The absence of words reveals the strength of your character. When rejection hits, the first instinct for many of us is to react, to explain, to justify, or to convince the other person of our worth. We think that our words will change their perspective, will make them see us differently. But sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is not through your words at all. Sometimes silence itself speaks louder than anything you could ever say. In moments of rejection, choosing silence can reveal the strength of your character. By not engaging in a defensive or emotional response, you show others, and more importantly yourself, that you don't need to justify your worth. Your silence demonstrates confidence, maturity, and inner strength. It's the silent response that often carries the most weight because it shows you are in control of your emotions, your actions, and your peace of mind. Think about the times when someone has lashed out at you or rejected you. What made the biggest impact on you in those moments? Was it their words, or was it your ability to remain calm, collected, and unbothered? Often it's not the words we speak, but the way we carry ourselves in those challenging moments that leaves a lasting impression. The Stoics understood the importance of maintaining one's dignity and composure, particularly in times of adversity. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often wrote about the importance of showing strength through how we handle difficult situations. He said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." What he meant was that our true strength is shown in how we respond to adversity, not by seeking retribution, but by maintaining our principles and staying true to ourselves. Silence in the face of rejection can be a powerful assertion of your self-respect. By choosing not to react immediately, you refuse to let the rejection dictate your self-worth. You are affirming to yourself and to others that you don't need external validation to know who you are. Your strength comes from within, and that is what others will ultimately recognize. This is where the real power of silence lies. It's not about shutting down or ignoring the situation. It's about showing restraint, dignity, and confidence in your own value. When you don't need to justify yourself, you demonstrate that you are secure in who you are. The absence of words becomes your statement of strength. So when faced with rejection, remember that you don't need to respond with words. Your silence will often speak volumes, reflecting your ability to stay calm, composed, and confident in your own worth. And in that silence, you'll find strength and clarity that words could never convey. 8. Rejection as an opportunity to redefine your priorities. Rejection is never easy. Whether it's a job offer you were hoping for, a relationship that didn't work out, or an idea that didn't get the approval you expected, it often leaves us feeling deflated. But rejection is not the end of the road. It can actually be one of the most valuable opportunities. You'll ever have to reassess and redefine your priorities. When we experience rejection, it's a signal. It forces us to stop and take a hard look at what we really want, what truly matters, and where we should be focusing our energy. It can reveal areas of our lives where we've been investing time and effort, only to realize that they may not align with our deeper values or long-term goals. The Stoics believed in the importance of constant self-reflection, especially when faced with challenges. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the need to turn obstacles into opportunities for growth. He believed that everything, even rejection, could be viewed as a chance to refine our character and our actions. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This perspective turns rejection into a catalyst for re-evaluation and change. When you stay silent after rejection, you create the space to reflect on your priorities without the noise of emotional reactions clouding your judgment. In those moments of stillness, you can ask yourself, what is truly important to me? What should I be focusing my energy on? Am I chasing goals that are aligned with my deepest values? Or have I been distracted by external expectations? Rejection offers you a chance to clear away distractions and realign yourself with your true purpose. It forces you to look at what isn't working and ask yourself if you're focusing on the right things. In that silence, you have the opportunity to reset, to choose a new path and to direct your energy toward what really matters. By embracing silence after rejection, you give yourself permission to step back and reassess without rushing into new decisions or reacting impulsively. It means you gain clarity on the path you need to take. Rejection is simply the universe's way of nudging you back to what really matters, helping you strip away distractions and refocus on your most meaningful pursuits. So when rejection comes, instead of feeling defeated, use that silence to reflect on your priorities. Let it be a chance to reevaluate what truly matters, to align your efforts with your deepest values, and to move forward with renewed purpose and clarity. 9. Don't seek validation. Find freedom in your silence. Rejection often leaves us searching for approval. We seek validation from others to reassure us that we are worthy, capable, and deserving. The power of silence is that it frees you from the need for external approval. When you choose silence after rejection, you are no longer looking for someone else to affirm your worth. You stop seeking validation from others and instead turn inward to validate yourself. This shift is liberating. It's the moment you realize that your self-worth is not dependent on the opinions or approval of others. You are enough just as you are. In a world that constantly pushes us to seek external validation through likes on social media, promotions at work, or even approval in personal relationships, it's easy to fall into the trap of measuring our worth by what others think. But the Stoics understood that true freedom comes from within. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." By choosing silence after rejection, you are taking back your freedom from the external world and claiming it for yourself. Silence allows you to stop chasing after the approval that only gives you temporary satisfaction. It empowers you to stop seeking constant validation and instead trust in your own judgment, your own worth. In those moments of quiet, you reclaim your sense of identity independent of others' opinions or expectations. This is where the true strength of silence lies. It teaches you to rely on yourself. When you no longer seek approval, you become free to make decisions that align with your own values and goals, rather than trying to meet the expectations of others. You can stand firm in your choices, knowing that they are right for you, regardless of external feedback. The more you practice finding freedom in your silence, the more you will find peace. This exercise strengthens our mental resilience by familiarizing us with adversity before it occurs, reducing the shock and discomfort when challenging situations inevitably arise. Furthermore, there's the challenge of skepticism, both internal and external. Internally, you might doubt whether Stoic principles can truly make a difference in the face of real-world problems. Externally, peers or societal norms might question or undervalue the importance of emotional regulation, viewing it as unnecessary or overly philosophical. Overcoming this skepticism involves demonstrating the practical benefits of Stoic practices, not only through words but through actions. As we embody the calm, rational, and resilient traits promoted by Stoicism, the effectiveness of these practices becomes apparent not only to ourselves but also to others. Lastly, integrating Stoic practices into daily life poses its own set of challenges. The modern world is fast-paced and often emphasizes quick reactions and emotional expressions. To counter this, setting aside time each day for reflection, such as journaling or meditative practices, can anchor us in Stoic principles. This daily commitment turns abstract concepts into tangible actions, gradually weaving Stoicism into the fabric of our everyday lives. Overcoming these challenges requires a robust commitment to self-improvement and a deep understanding of Stoic philosophy. It's about embracing the process, knowing that each obstacle is an opportunity to practice and strengthen our Stoic virtues. By steadfastly applying these principles, we not only overcome the challenges, but also grow stronger and more capable with each step forward. Habit 7. Real-life applications. Consider a typical scenario at work. You've put your heart into a project, but during the presentation, a colleague interrupts with criticism that seems unfair. The immediate impulse might be to defend your work aggressively, allowing irritation or anger to dictate your response. However, applying Stoic principles, you could take a moment to pause, acknowledging your initial emotional response without acting on it. Instead of snapping back, you might then choose to address the criticism calmly, asking for specific feedback that could improve the project. This approach not only preserves professional relationships, but also enhances your reputation as someone who is composed and receptive to feedback, even under stress. Now imagine a personal situation such as a conflict with a partner or family member. Emotions can quickly escalate in familial settings, turning minor misunderstandings into major conflicts. A Stoic approach would involve recognizing the emotional triggers as they arise and consciously choosing to respond with understanding rather than reactivity. This might mean taking time to listen actively to the other person's concerns without immediately reacting or trying to solve the problem. Such a response promotes dialogue and understanding, helping to resolve conflicts in a way that strengthens relationships rather than weakening them. In another aspect of personal development, consider the challenge of self-discipline, such as maintaining a fitness routine or a diet. It's easy to give in to momentary impulses, skipping a workout because you feel tired or indulging in an unhealthy snack. Stoicism teaches us to focus on our long-term goals and values rather than short-term comforts. By applying Stoic discipline, you can remind yourself of the reasons behind your choices, reinforcing your willpower to act in accordance with your greater good rather than momentary desires. Moreover, Stoicism can profoundly impact our overall resilience and mental health. In times of crisis or sorrow, such as during a financial setback or the loss of a loved one, the Stoic practice of focusing on what we can control, our responses, our values, our actions, becomes invaluable. While it's natural to feel grief or stress, Stoicism helps us navigate these emotions without letting them overwhelm us. To think, to enjoy, to love. For a creative, this privilege extends to the ability to imagine, to express, and to contribute something unique to the world. Gratitude grounds you in the present moment, helping you focus on the opportunities you have, rather than the obstacles in your way. One of the most common barriers in the creative process is frustration, when ideas don't flow, when progress feels slow, or when results don't match your expectations. Gratitude allows you to shift your focus from what's lacking to what's abundant. Instead of fixating on the challenges, you can appreciate the tools, skills, and inspiration you already possess. For example, if you're struggling with a project, pause to acknowledge the privilege of having the time and resources to create. This perspective doesn't eliminate difficulties, but it makes them feel more manageable. Another way gratitude enhances creativity is by reducing the weight of comparison. In a world where it's easy to measure your work against others, gratitude helps you focus on your unique journey. Seneca advised, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." Instead of envying another person's success, practice gratitude for your own progress and potential. Recognize that your creative path is yours alone, and that every step, no matter how small, is meaningful. Gratitude also fosters resilience in the face of setbacks. When rejection or failure strikes, it's natural to feel disheartened. But the Stoics teach us to reframe adversity as an opportunity for growth. Epictetus said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." In creative terms, this means appreciating the lessons that challenges bring. A failed project might teach you new techniques or reveal an idea you hadn't considered. Gratitude helps you see these moments as stepping stones rather than roadblocks. Practicing gratitude doesn't have to be time-consuming. Start with simple daily reflections. At the end of each creative session, ask yourself, what went well today? What resources or opportunities am I grateful for? What skills have I developed through this process? Writing these reflections in a journal reinforces the habit of gratitude and helps you maintain a positive outlook. Another practice is to express gratitude for your creative process itself. The Stoics believed in honoring what is within your control, and your creative effort is entirely yours. Whether your work is praised, criticized, or ignored, the act of creating is an achievement in itself. Take a moment to thank yourself for showing up, for trying, and for continuing to grow. Gratitude can also be a source of inspiration. By focusing on what you're thankful for, you often uncover ideas and themes to explore in your work. For example, reflecting on meaningful relationships, memorable experiences, or even personal struggles can spark creative expression. These moments of gratitude connect you to your authentic voice, enriching your art with depth and sincerity. Lastly, share your gratitude with others. Whether it's thanking a mentor who guided you, acknowledging a peer who inspired you, or expressing appreciation to an audience who supports your work, gratitude strengthens connections and builds a supportive, creative community. The Stoics valued mutual respect and generosity, believing that gratitude fosters harmony and growth. Ask yourself, am I focusing on what I lack, or am I appreciating what I have? How can gratitude shift my perspective today? The creative process isn't just about producing work, it's about appreciating the journey. By cultivating gratitude, you find joy in the act of creating, resilience in the face of challenges, and inspiration in the everyday. As the Stoics teach, true wealth lies not in what you achieve, but in the gratitude you hold for the opportunities along the way. 10. Achieving creative freedom with a Stoic mindset. True creative freedom isn't about having endless time, resources, or opportunities. It's about liberating your mind from the barriers that hold you back. Fear of judgment, perfectionism, procrastination, and self-doubt can weigh heavily on your ability to create. A Stoic mindset, with its emphasis on self-mastery, detachment from external validation, and focus on the present, provides the tools to break free from these constraints and fully express your creative potential. The Stoics believed that freedom begins in the mind. Epictetus taught freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. For creatives, this means letting go of the outcomes you can't dictate, whether your work will be praised, sold, or even understood, and focusing instead on the effort and intention you bring to the process. When you free yourself from the need for external approval, you unlock the joy of creating for its own sake. One of the greatest barriers to creative freedom is the fear of failure. The Stoics remind us that failure isn't something to be feared, but embraced. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. By reframing failure as a necessary part of growth, you allow yourself the freedom to experiment, take risks, and explore without the weight of perfectionism. Each misstep becomes a lesson, bringing you closer to mastery. Another key to creative freedom is detaching from comparisons. In today's hyper-connected world, it's easy to measure your work against others and feel inadequate. The Stoics advise focusing on your own path. Seneca said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Instead of looking outward, look inward. What unique perspective do you bring? What drives your creative vision? By grounding yourself in your values, you free yourself from the pressure to conform or compete. Time is another constraint that often stifles creativity. We tell ourselves, "I'll create when I have more time," only to find that the perfect moment never comes. The Stoics remind us that time is fleeting and should be used wisely. Marcus Aurelius urged, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." For creatives, this translates to prioritizing your craft, even in small, consistent increments. Instead of waiting for ideal conditions, use the time you have now to create, no matter how limited it may seem. Procrastination is another common hurdle to creative freedom. The Stoics emphasized action as a remedy for stagnation. Epictetus advised, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Start with small, achievable tasks that build momentum. Whether it's sketching an idea, drafting a paragraph, or experimenting with a melody, taking action, however imperfect, frees you from the paralysis of overthinking. Stoic principles also teach the importance of presence. Creativity thrives when you're fully engaged in the moment, unburdened by worries about the past or future. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." When you focus entirely on the task at hand, you enter a state of flow where ideas come naturally and time seems to disappear. Practice mindfulness as you create. Feel the texture of the paintbrush, hear the rhythm of the words, or sense the movement of your hands on an instrument. Presence transforms the act of creating into an experience of freedom and joy. Lastly, true creative freedom comes from embracing the process over the product. The Stoics believed in finding fulfillment in the effort itself, regardless of the outcome. Marcus Aurelius observed, "The fruit of this life is a good character and acts for the common good." For creatives, the fruit of your work isn't just the finished piece. It's the growth, insight, and satisfaction you gain along the way by focusing on the process. Stoic philosophy teaches us to maintain our composure in the face of such reactions. Seneca said, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." Stay calm, set boundaries, and don't let their tantrums dictate your decisions. Entitled individuals also lack gratitude, which is perhaps the most telling sign of their mindset. Even when they receive help or benefits, they treat it as something they were owed, rather than a gesture of kindness. For instance, you might go out of your way to support them, and instead of thanking you, they barely acknowledge your effort or even expect more from you. Stoicism places immense value on gratitude as a key to happiness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not indulge in dreams of having what you do not have, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess." Practicing gratitude not only helps you appreciate life, but also shields you from the entitlement of others. Number 8. They help only when it benefits them. Some people only offer help when there's something in it for them. At first it can be hard to notice, but over time you start to see a pattern. They'll step in when there's a clear personal gain, but when you need support, they suddenly become too busy or unavailable. It's as if their acts of kindness are just transactions. They help because it enhances their image, benefits them directly, or puts them in a position of power. This kind of self-interest can feel like a betrayal, especially when you realize that your well-being is only valuable to them when it serves their own goals. For instance, you might lend a hand to someone in need, only to find that when you're the one going through a tough time, they're nowhere to be found. They might offer excuses or just ignore your requests for help. It becomes clear that their help was more about building a favor bank for themselves than about genuine kindness. Stoicism teaches us to act with integrity regardless of whether there's a benefit to us. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, let not your mind run on what you lack as much as on what you have. True help comes from a place of selflessness, not self-interest. This transactional approach to helping others can extend to more subtle ways of manipulating situations. They might offer advice that seems helpful, but it's always with the caveat that you owe them something in return. For example, they might help you with a small task at work, but later expect you to cover for them or do something in exchange. Stoics value assistance that comes without strings attached. As Epictetus said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Their help is an attempt to control the situation, but your power lies in choosing not to engage in that exchange. It's easy to get frustrated or even angry when you realize you're dealing with someone who only helps when it benefits them. But Stoicism encourages us to maintain our inner peace, no matter how selfish others might be. Instead of harboring resentment, focus on cultivating a generous spirit yourself without the need for anything in return. Seneca wrote, "No man can live happily who has regard to himself alone and transforms everything into a question of his own utility." Helping others is an opportunity to practice virtue, not a transaction to get something in return. Their behavior often creates a sense of imbalance in relationships. You may feel like you're constantly giving while they take, without ever offering anything that doesn't benefit them. For example, they might enjoy the perks of being your friend, but when it's time to offer support, they disappear. This imbalance can drain you emotionally, especially if you're someone who values mutual respect and reciprocity. In these situations, the Stoic approach would be to focus on what you can control, your own actions and responses, while accepting that some people may never offer the same level of kindness. Over time, this kind of behavior can lead you to re-evaluate your relationships. If you're always the one giving and they're only helping when there's something in it for them, it's important to recognize the dynamic and protect your energy. Stoicism teaches us to protect our peace and not allow others to dictate the terms of our relationships. As Marcus Aurelius put it, when you have the opportunity to benefit another person, do so with sincerity and without expecting anything in return. True generosity comes from a place of inner strength, not out of a desire for reciprocity. Number 9, they have many enemies. People who have a trail of enemies in their wake often show us the consequences of their actions, even if they don't realize it. These individuals may present themselves as charming and friendly on the surface, but underneath they leave a path of damaged relationships, unspoken resentments, and unresolved conflicts. They may go on about how others have wronged them, or how they had to cut people off due to misunderstandings. But the truth is, when you consistently have problems with so many different people, the common denominator is usually you. These individuals often live in a world of blame. They accuse others of betrayal, but they never stop to ask why things keep falling apart around them. A friend of mine had someone in their life who was always pointing fingers at others for not understanding or supporting them. But when you looked closely, it was their own actions that were at the root of most conflicts. This person's inability to accept responsibility for their own part in things was a constant source of tension. Stoicism teaches us to take full responsibility for our actions, no matter how difficult it may be. As Epictetus said, we are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens to us. The moment we shift the focus to our own behavior, we regain control and clarity. People who have many enemies also tend to speak poorly about those they've fallen out with. Instead of reflecting on the situation, they trash talk former friends, colleagues, or acquaintances. For example, you might hear someone constantly recounting how they've been wronged by every person they've ever worked with, or how no one ever understands them. This constant narrative of being the victim reflects a refusal to see things from other perspectives, and it often comes at the expense of their own growth. Stoicism reminds us to remain calm and composed in these situations. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Instead of engaging in their petty squabbles, take the higher road by practicing empathy and understanding, even if you don't agree with the person's behavior. One of the hardest things to do is to watch someone behave in a way that causes constant conflict, and then act surprised when they're isolated or surrounded by enemies. Their tendency to burn bridges can eventually lead to loneliness, and they may try to convince themselves that it's everyone else's fault. But in truth, their lack of self-reflection and their refusal to take responsibility for their actions are what perpetuate the cycle. In Stoicism, we are taught to focus on what is in our control, particularly our own actions. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." It's easy to get caught up in someone else's narrative, but it's important to stay grounded in your own truth and not get lost in the drama they create. These individuals often fail to learn from their mistakes. They repeat the same patterns, burning bridges, speaking ill of others, and distancing themselves from anyone who challenges their behavior. And because they don't learn from past conflicts, they're doomed to repeat them. A family member of mine went through cycles of friend groups, only to end up alone time and time again. Every time they'd start a new relationship, whether professional or personal, the cycle would repeat. They'd create tension, become defensive, and then cut ties, convinced that everyone else was to blame. Stoicism teaches us that growth comes from self-examination, not from avoiding uncomfortable truths. As Epictetus said, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. By confronting our own mistakes, we can break free from cycles of conflict and start building healthier, more constructive relationships. Number 10. They thrive on hate. There are some people who seem to live in a constant state of anger and resentment. It's as if hatred fuels them, and without it, they wouldn't know who they are. These individuals often thrive in environments where negativity is rampant. They focus on flaws, criticize others endlessly, and can't seem to find anything good to say about anyone. Their minds are consumed by the faults and wrongs of others, and they take pride in pointing out imperfections wherever they see them. How often have you gone through your day only to be blindsided by something you didn't expect? A sudden problem at work, an unexpected obstacle in your personal life, or an emotional setback that throws you off course. The truth is, life is unpredictable, and no matter how much we plan, challenges are inevitable. But here's the Stoic secret to making things happen. Prepare for challenges in advance, and you'll be ready to face whatever comes your way. The Stoic practice of premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils, teaches us to mentally prepare for obstacles before they arise. Instead of being caught off guard or overwhelmed by setbacks, we anticipate them and think through how we would respond. By doing this, we build emotional resilience and the mental clarity needed to handle difficulties calmly and strategically. It might sound counterintuitive at first. Why would you spend time thinking about challenges and setbacks? Wouldn't that make you anxious or focused on negative outcomes? But premeditatio malorum isn't about dwelling on worst-case scenarios. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This wisdom highlights the importance of simplifying our lives and avoiding the trap of chasing after more than we truly need. By practicing moderation, you create space for consistency, focus, and mental clarity. Instead of exhausting yourself with endless striving or giving into indulgence, you create a sustainable rhythm that allows you to pursue your goals without burning out. You take the time to rest, recharge, and maintain your energy so that you can perform at your best consistently, day in and day out. The key to balance is recognizing that everything has its place. Work, rest, productivity, relaxation, and each of these needs to be honored without tipping into excess. When you overwork, you burn out. When you overindulge, you feel guilty or sluggish. But when you find balance, you're able to bring your best self to everything you do and still maintain your mental and emotional well-being. So how do you start practicing balance and moderation? Begin by recognizing areas of your life where you tend to overdo it. Whether it's work, food, social media, or something else, start setting boundaries for yourself. Give yourself time to rest. Ensure that you're prioritizing the things that truly matter, while also allowing space for relaxation and rejuvenation. By embracing balance, you'll find that you not only achieve more, but you do so with greater peace and energy. Remember, the middle path is often the strongest path. Embrace moderation and let it guide you toward a more sustainable, fulfilling way of living. 10. Memento Mori. Act like time is running out. How many times have you put something off thinking, "I'll get to it tomorrow," or "there's plenty of time ahead"? We all tend to procrastinate, assuming that we have endless time to accomplish our goals, fix our mistakes, or pursue our passions. But here's the truth: time is precious, and we're never guaranteed more of it. The 10th habit for making things happen is to embrace the concept of memento mori. Remember that you will die. This isn't a morbid reflection, but a powerful reminder that our time on this earth is limited. The Stoics believed that by reflecting on our mortality, we are reminded of the urgency to live a life of purpose, to make every moment count, and to stop wasting time on things that don't truly matter. Memento Mori reminds us that time is our most valuable resource. Each day is an opportunity that should not be taken for granted. Yet how often do we delay taking action, thinking we have more time, only to realize later that the years have slipped by? The reality is that life can be unpredictable, and we often don't realize how quickly time passes until it's too late. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, famously reflected on his own mortality in his meditations. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." By acknowledging that life is short, we begin to approach each day with a sense of urgency and focus. We stop procrastinating and start living intentionally, making the most of every opportunity. Embracing memento mori isn't about dwelling on death in a negative way. It's about recognizing that time is limited, which gives us the motivation to act now. When we remember that life could end at any moment, we are inspired to pursue what truly matters. We take action, we push past our fears, and we stop waiting for the perfect moment to start making progress toward our goals. Every day is an opportunity to live with purpose, to take steps toward what we want to achieve, and to leave behind a legacy that matters. So how can you incorporate memento mori into your life today? Start by reflecting on your own mortality. Acknowledge that life is fleeting and use that knowledge to fuel your actions. Ask yourself, what do I want to accomplish today? What will I regret not doing? Let the awareness of time's passing motivate you to take immediate, purposeful action. When you live as if time is running out, you become more focused, more intentional, and more driven. You stop putting off the things that matter and start making things happen now. Memento Mori is a wake-up call, an invitation to live fully, with urgency and purpose, knowing that every moment is a gift. Don't wait for tomorrow. Start today, because time is precious, and you don't want to miss out on the opportunity to make your life count. 11. Gratitude as a power move. In a world where we are constantly striving for more success, more possessions, more validation, it's easy to overlook the incredible power of gratitude. We often focus on what we lack, what we don't have yet, or what we wish were different. But here's the Stoic secret. Gratitude is not only a way to acknowledge the good in our lives, it is a transformative force that attracts more of what we want. The 11th habit for making things happen is practicing gratitude as a power move. Gratitude is often seen as a passive emotion, but in Stoicism, it's a proactive tool for cultivating inner strength and attracting abundance. Gratitude, when we focus on the things we already have, we shift our mindset from scarcity to abundance, from frustration to peace. This shift doesn't just improve our emotional state, it enhances our ability to take action, to move forward, and to create the life we want. Think about it. When you focus on the things you lack or what hasn't worked out yet, it's easy to feel stuck, dissatisfied, or discouraged. But when you shift your focus to the things you are grateful for, whether it's your health, your relationships, your experiences, or even the simple joys of everyday life, you begin to notice that you have more than enough. Gratitude grounds you in the present and allows you to see your life through a lens of abundance rather than one of deficiency. The Stoics understood the power of gratitude deeply. Marcus Aurelius, for example, made daily gratitude a part of his routine. In his meditations, he reflected on the many things he was grateful for, despite the immense challenges he faced as emperor. He wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." Gratitude for the Stoics wasn't just about acknowledging the good, it was about reminding themselves of the privileges they had despite the challenges. It grounded them in the present moment and strengthened their resilience. Gratitude also works as a catalyst for action. When you recognize and appreciate the things you have, your skills, your relationships, your resources, it fuels you to take further action. Instead of focusing on the gaps or limitations in your life, you recognize the tools at your disposal and feel empowered to use them to create more success, more peace, and more joy. How can you make gratitude a power move in your life? Start by acknowledging 3 things you're grateful for each morning. These could be big, like your family or health, or small, like a moment of calm in the morning or a warm cup of coffee. Write them down or simply reflect on them before you begin your day. Notice how it shifts your energy and your mindset. You may find that your day unfolds with more clarity, positivity, and even opportunities you hadn't seen before. Gratitude isn't just a feel-good practice, it's a powerful tool for manifesting more of what you want in life. By acknowledging and appreciating the abundance you already have, you open yourself up to receiving even more. Gratitude strengthens your mindset, enriches your emotional resilience, and aligns your actions with your deeper desires. So today, practice gratitude as a power move. Recognize what you already have, and use that recognition to fuel your actions and decisions. The more you focus on the positive, the more positivity you'll attract. And soon you'll find yourself making things happen, not because you wished for them, but because you took deliberate, grateful action. Own your role in life. How many times have you found yourself shirking responsibility, putting things off, or avoiding tasks because they felt too difficult or overwhelming? It's easy to want to avoid discomfort, to wait for the right moment, or to hope that someone else will step in and take charge. But here's the Stoic truth. Everything you do matters. Your actions, your decisions, and your responsibility are what shape the world around you. Own your role in life and success will follow. The 12th habit for making things happen is embracing your duty and responsibility. Stoicism teaches that life is not just about seeking pleasure or avoiding pain. It's about recognizing our duties and taking ownership of them. Whether it's our responsibilities in our career, family, relationships, or personal development, owning our role means acting with integrity and commitment, regardless of the obstacles that stand in our way. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, constantly reminded himself of his duty to his people and his role in the world. He wrote in his meditations, "The best way to avenge yourself is to not be like that." By focusing on his duty, Marcus kept his mind fixed on what was in his control, his actions, his role, and his contributions to the greater good. Rather than being distracted by things outside of his control, he remained anchored in the responsibilities he had been entrusted with. When you embrace your duty and responsibility, you stop waiting for things to magically align or for external circumstances to change. Instead, you step up, take action, and fulfill your role with purpose and determination. This is the true path to empowerment. The more you take ownership of your responsibilities, the more control you gain over your own life. You stop being passive and become an active participant in your own success. This doesn't mean you have to take on the world or do everything yourself. It means that you acknowledge your part in the grand scheme of things and take pride in fulfilling it. Duty is about taking responsibility for your actions, regardless of how big or small they may seem. It's about owning your choices and decisions and following through on them, even when it feels hard. For example, if you're working on a project, don't wait for the perfect moment or for someone else to take charge. Own your responsibility to complete it with excellence, even if you face setbacks. If you're in a relationship, take responsibility for your role in building trust and understanding, even if it's uncomfortable at times. Every aspect of life is an opportunity to fulfill your duty, and by doing so, you move closer to achieving your goals and finding fulfillment. To implement this habit, start by identifying your duties in your life. What are the roles you need to embrace? What responsibilities have you been avoiding or putting off? Take one small step today to own that role and fulfill your duty. By doing so, you'll gain a sense of purpose, control, and strength. Because when you own your responsibilities, you take control of your destiny. Remember, success doesn't come from waiting for the perfect conditions. It comes from owning your role in life, fulfilling your duties, and taking deliberate action. 13. Universal connection. You're part of something bigger. In the hustle and bustle of daily life, it's easy to become consumed with our own challenges, ambitions, and problems. We often focus on our individual goals and desires, sometimes forgetting that we're part of something much larger. But here's the Stoic insight. 13. Universal connection. Everything we do is interconnected. We're all part of a greater whole, and our actions ripple out into the world in ways we might not always see. The 13th habit for making things happen is recognizing your universal connection, the understanding that your actions are connected to something bigger than yourself. Whether it's the people you interact with, the work you do, or the way you impact your community, every action you take contributes to the larger web of life. This awareness helps us realize that we are not isolated beings, but interconnected with others and with the world around us. The Stoics understood that we are part of a universal order. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reminded himself of the importance of aligning his actions with the greater good. He wrote, "What is not good for the hive cannot be good for the bee." This insight is about recognizing that when we act in harmony with the collective, we act in alignment with our true nature and purpose. By contributing to the well-being of others, we contribute to the well-being of ourselves. Think about it. When you help someone else, whether it's a colleague, a family member, or even a stranger, you're not just helping them in that moment. Your action creates a ripple effect, fostering goodwill and cooperation that can spread far beyond that individual. When you contribute to your community or take responsibility in your role at work, you're not only impacting those directly involved, but you're also contributing to the larger system that sustains everything around you. This doesn't mean that we should neglect our own personal growth or ambitions, but it does mean that we should always act with the awareness that we are part of something bigger. Every choice, every decision, every action we take can have an impact on others, and that impact can be positive or negative. By recognizing our interconnectedness, we begin to act with more integrity, responsibility, and consideration for the well-being of others. Universal connection also teaches us humility. When we realize that we are just one part of a much larger whole, we stop seeing ourselves as isolated or superior. Instead, we see our place in the world as part of a grander design, a design where our actions contribute to the collective good. This awareness helps us act with more compassion, empathy, and generosity, knowing that the energy we put into the world comes back to us in ways we might not fully understand. To incorporate this habit into your life, take a moment each day to reflect on how your actions contribute to the larger world around you. Ask yourself, how can I serve others today? How does my work contribute to the greater good? Whether it's helping a colleague, being present for a loved one, or making mindful choices that benefit the environment, always remember that your actions are part of the larger web of life. By embracing your universal connection, you stop thinking only about your individual success and start seeing your life as part of a larger mission. A mission that benefits not just yourself, but everyone around you. 14. Train your mind like an athlete. Your mindset determines what you achieve. We often spend hours training our bodies, improving our physical strength, endurance, and abilities. But what about the most important muscle of all, our mind? Just like an athlete dedicates time to physical training, the greatest achievers dedicate time to training their mindset. Your mindset shapes how you approach challenges, how you handle setbacks, and how you ultimately succeed. The 14th habit for making things happen is training your mind like an athlete. Stoicism teaches us that mental strength, like physical strength, is built through consistent practice, focus, and discipline. Your mind is your most powerful tool, and the more you invest in developing it, the greater your capacity to navigate life's challenges with confidence and resilience. Think about how athletes approach their training. They don't expect to perform at their best without putting in the work. Every day they train, pushing their limits and honing their skills. They know that achieving peak performance requires constant practice, focus, and dedication. The same goes for your mind. If you want to cultivate mental strength, resilience, and focus, you need to train your mind regularly. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reminded himself of the importance of mental discipline. He recognized that the quality of our thoughts directly impacts the quality of our lives. He wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Marcus Aurelius, in other words, the way you think, the way you interpret your circumstances, and the way you choose to respond to challenges directly affect your ability to succeed. By training your mind, you equip yourself to handle anything life throws at you with grace and wisdom. One way to start training your mind is through daily reflection and mindfulness. Just as an athlete works on their form, you can work on your mindset by focusing on your thoughts. Are they positive, focused, and aligned with your goals, or are they negative, reactive, and driven by emotion? When you become aware of your thought patterns, you can intentionally shift your mindset toward one that supports growth, resilience, and achievement. In addition to reflection, mental training can include practices like meditation, journaling, or mindfulness exercises. These practices help you develop focus, clarity, and emotional regulation, skills that will serve you in every area of your life. Just as physical training increases your endurance, mental training increases your ability to stay calm under pressure, to make better decisions, and to persist through difficult times. Another powerful way to train your mind is to constantly challenge it. Put yourself in situations that push your mental limits, whether it's solving a complex problem, learning a new skill, or facing a personal challenge. Thanks for watching. Just like lifting weights makes your muscles stronger, mental challenges make your mind more resilient. The more you challenge your mind, the more capable it becomes. Ultimately, your mindset is the foundation of your success. When you train your mind with the same dedication that an athlete trains their body, you unlock your true potential. A strong mind allows you to face adversity with confidence, learn from setbacks, and continue moving forward toward your goals, no matter how difficult the journey may seem.